What's up, everybody? How are you? How you doing? Hope you all are having a great day so far. Today I'm doing a video on the removal of a power steering pump for a 2002 Mercedes C240. This will apply to all Mercedes C240s from 2001 to 2007. You will need a few specialized tools for the job, most importantly a pulley puller set. So I will go through all the tools you need and show you what's involved so you can decide for yourself if you want to tackle this job or not. Tools you need for the job are a set of wrenches, a socket set. You'll need Torx sockets because Mercedes uses these funky Torx bolts. You'll need a pulley puller and installation kit for the job. I recommend a high quality one. Don't cheap out on this because you'll be exerting a lot of force on this kit to remove and to reinstall the pulley back onto the power steering pump. You also need a fluid evacuation pump. You also need the power steering fluid. I have the Prestone European formula here. Whatever brand you get, just make sure it has that CHF 11S designation. So the first thing I did was pop off the battery cover and disconnect the negative side of the battery. You pop off the engine covers, they just lift off. So now we're going to use the pump and remove all the power steering fluid from the reservoir. Next thing we're going to do is remove the serpentine belt. Before we do that, we'll just make a note of the routing so that we remember how to put it back on properly. So the belt goes around this thing, comes down, goes around that doodad, comes around that, loops around there, comes across, hooks around the alternator, back up top. Now to take off the belt, you need to release the tension on the tensioner. So using a 7mm socket, you just turn it counterclockwise to slacken the belt and then you can just slip it off. So we got the 17 on the tensioning bolt and we're just gonna loosen the tensioner. And when it's slack, you can just slip the belt off. So when you slip the belt off, it's a good time to inspect it. Take a look and pay attention for rips, tears, or excessive wear. So next, stuff some paper towels underneath this thing just in case some power fluid drips out. And remove that hose. Now you grab your 22mm box end wrench and crack that nut that's connected to that power steering line. And when you buy a new power steering pump, it should come with all the replacement washers, hopefully. And I would recommend not buying a rebuilt pump. I did, and it ended up leaking on me, so which is why I'm doing this job again. So just buy a brand new one. It doesn't have to be the brand new one from Mercedes. I got a new one, a new aftermarket one from a company called Cardone, and I paid $300. Now just remove the bolt to disconnect the line. So now there's 3 bolts on the front of the power steering pump holding it in. So 2 are pretty easy to get at. There's one that's tricky to get at, and you get at that one by moving the tensioner out of the way again. So you'll have to grab your 17mm socket and move that tensioner out of the way again to gain access to the bolt that's behind the tensioner. So you move it and then you'd be like, peekaboo, motherfucker!
Come on, baby, and kick them daisies!
Oh, an important note would be careful when you're working with this tensioner, when you're slackening it to either get the belt off or to gain access to that bolt. Don't fuck around. That tensioner can slam on your finger and give you a big boo-boo, so watch out. So once you've cracked that tricky bolt behind the tensioner, you can just remove it by hand after. There you go. So this is the worst part of the job. You have 3 bolts behind the power steering pump that are holding it in, so you'll have to remove those. They're pretty tricky to get at. You can't really see them, but you can feel them. And they're torqued in pretty good. They're pretty tight, so you'll need to connect 2 wrenches in order to create enough leverage to crack those bolts. You'll need a 3/8 box end wrench. So my 3/8 is on the bolt down there. This is my setup. I stuck that second wrench on here, used as leverage, and was able to crack the bolt because I had way more force. So all the bolts are removed now, and now we just jiggled the pump out. So once the pump's out, we need to remove the reservoir as well as the pulley, because the new pump does not come with a pulley or a reservoir. So to remove the reservoir, it's just like a C-clip, so you just pry that out with a flathead. Don't lose that spring. Then take the reservoir off. You'll need to change the seal in that reservoir pump. It should come with your new power steering pump. Next, we remove the bracket, and you can gain access to the bracket bolts through the holes in the pulley. If you have a vise, now is a good time to use it. So you're going to be exerting a lot of force trying to get those bracket bolts off. So you'll definitely want something solid holding it in place. So next, we're going to remove the pulley from the pump. So what we'll do is we'll place the pump in the vise, and we'll make sure we have our pulley puller set handy, and we'll go over the tools we need to remove the pulley from the pump. We're going to need this presser. We'll also need this collar nut, and we'll also need this threaded post. So the threaded post will thread into the collar nut. The presser will sit inside the collar nut. So next we take our pull collars, and we need to make sure that the pull collars are sitting underneath the flange of the pulley, because that's what it's going to hold on to. We take our assembly of the collar nut, threaded post, and pusher and set it inside of the pull collars, and then we slip our holder over top of the pull collars. You then take your wrench to hold your nut, you grab your impact gun, and then you just hit it. Blast that thing to take that pulley off. And boom! Lift off. Now you're just left with your power steering pump, and that's it. There it is. So it's a pretty involved job, but good luck with everything. I assume no liability if you fuck anything up. This is how I did it. Oh, if you have any questions or comments, just leave it below and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So good luck everyone. See you later.